I put it in the refrigerator, and when I got up in the morning and went to go check on it, because I always check on it as soon as I wake up, I found that half of the cake had split in half and fallen to the side. My name is Amy Blea, and I'm the owner of Sunflour Confections cottage bakery located here in Round Rock, Texas. So I really began my home baking business because several years ago we moved here to Austin. I went to culinary school while also working my full-time job. I'd always wanted to open a bakery, so I thought I would just kind of go to school and try that. And right after graduating, I spent a lot of time working in just different bakeries around Austin and the Round Rock area. But most of that was done like getting up and getting there at 4 in the morning, working for 4 hours, and then going to my day job, or working at night on the weekends. And so, while that was fun and it was a good experience, you know, it started to take a toll on my body as well as, you know, on my family. My kids were really young at the time. My youngest was a toddler. So I just felt like I was missing out on a lot, and I didn't really want to let go of that. So when I saw some posts on Facebook about what was going on with the cottage food law, I, you know, wanted to get involved. And so as soon as that went into effect, I decided to stop working in bakeries and have my home baking business. And so what that allowed me to do was, you know, go do my day job, you know, come home, be with my kids, get them into bed, and as soon as they went to bed, then I could, you know, start my bakery time and get all of that done. So I've always been a both and kind of person rather than an either or. And I wanted to keep my daytime job and still be able to be here for my family and be a mom to my kids in the evenings. And so having a cottage bakery allowed me to do that until they were grown, and if I should choose or decide to open a brick and mortar. My day job is very different from my what I call my night job, my bakery job. I work in a very technical industry, and so a lot of my work is very technical and analytical. Whereas my bakery side of things, I'm able to be very creative. And I definitely need both of those to be a well-balanced person. One of the reasons why I went into the field that I went into, I actually have a degree in computer science. The reason for that is because I felt like while it was very technical, there was still some room there for creativity. But I've always been a bit of an artist. Even growing up, I would paint and draw and do all of those kinds of things. And so this was just a way for me to kind of extend that and just express myself through art that you can eat. So when COVID happened, things changed in my business quite a bit. Originally, I was primarily focused on making cakes, custom cakes for parties, different types of cakes, things like that. And I did make cookies, but it wasn't really the main focus of my business. It was kind of an extra thing on the side that I was doing in addition to the cakes. But when COVID happened, people weren't getting together anymore as much, right? Obviously. And so cakes were not something that people wanted to buy. They were more looking for things that they could like hand out at a drive-by birthday party or something like that. And in the Texas heat, cupcakes doesn't really work very well. So I had to really kind of dig into the cookie side of my business and start, making more cookies and diving into that and marketing those even more. And so because of that, I was able to actually maintain my business and keep it going through the last couple of years as things have shifted, because I was able to now provide cookies that can withstand the heat and can be individually wrapped and all of that, and so that people could still have their parties and have something sweet and beautiful. Now, since things have opened up a little more, I am selling cakes a little more often. I'm still mostly primarily cookies. People really do like being able to hand them out as party favors and whatnot. But on a regular basis right now, from week to week, I'm taking on, maybe 6 or 7 dozen cookies a week and a cake or two in there. It really just depends on, what they're looking for in terms of the level of detail. And then it also depends on, what's going on with my day job. I'm still doing it part-time and working my full-time technical job during the day. Some of the challenges of having a home-based business, right, is making sure that people are staying out of the kitchen. I mean, my family, I've been doing this for so long, like they know how it goes, but if we ever, happen to have someone coming to stay with us, it can be a little difficult to establish those very, very strict boundaries with them in terms of what's allowed and what's not allowed to happen in the kitchen while I'm baking. The other thing about it is I think I struggle a lot with, just having people come to my home. I am opening my home to the general public in a sense, and so sometimes that can be a little disconcerting. So, having to put my address on labels and things like that just kind of, makes it a little difficult, I think, to feel comfortable with that. I've actually have some friends who own some businesses, that where they've asked if I could sell or if they could sell my products, in their business, and because we're not allowed to do any kind of wholesaling, that has gotten in the way of me being able to provide additional sources of income for my business. So that has definitely impacted me. The other thing is not being able to ship my cookies. Because we're not allowed to ship my cookies, that's a whole other avenue of income that I feel like I'm missing out on. So one interesting story, there was this one cake that I was making that was fairly elaborate. I think it was early on when I was learning how to do internal structures, and I felt pretty confident that I had gotten it down, and so I had the cake all set up and everything. It was looking really great. And I put it in the refrigerator, right? Worked late into the night to get it done. I put it in the refrigerator, and when I got up in the morning and went to go check on it, because I always check on it as soon as I wake up, I found that half of the cake had split in half and fallen to the side. So I ended up having to take that morning off from my day job so that I could rebake and redo the cake all over again, and making sure everything was structurally sound. So in the moment, that was super stressful and crazy, and I will never forget it. But I also learned a lot through that experience, right? That I can kind of turn things around and do things quickly and still provide a quality cake in a short amount of time. So the best thing about my home-based baking business, well, actually there are two things that I can think of that are, at the top of my list. The first one being that, I have the flexibility to take on orders based on what's going on during the week and not have to worry about paying for the overhead of a commercial kitchen or keeping the lights on in a brick and mortar, right? I can take on as many orders as I need to during the week or turn down as many depending on what's going on. And I can continue to work my day job that I still enjoy doing and do this at the same time. So I get to keep my both and, right? The other reason I really enjoy having my home bake business is that it has set a really strong example. So my children, when they started, were very young. Like I said earlier, my youngest was still a toddler. And now that they're older and in college, they're actually looking for ways to be both and as well, right? So they are interested in things like technical theater, but then they're getting their computer science degree, and they're inspired and looking for ways to do both at the same time. And they see that as a total viable option where I can have a career and do the technical thing that I like to do and then still go work at the theater, for example, or work, play music or whatever it is. So I would like to just encourage anyone who enjoys baking and is interested in maybe pursuing opening a cottage business. It's something that is very tangible for you to do and look into as having, an additional income for your family or whatever reason. Don't be afraid to give it a try. I think the cottage food industry here just kind of makes it very accessible for anyone to get in on that. And there's plenty of business to go around, plenty of birthdays to be celebrated, and lots of work out there for everyone. So I would just say, like, if you're thinking about it, definitely look into the different groups that are online where you can find support and ask questions. But yeah, just step into it, give it a try without fear. It doesn't have to be a long-term commitment. It can be short-term and you can do it for as long as it suits you and then go do something else. But it is a lot of fun, and I'm so glad that I live in Texas in a state that supports this type of income or this type of business within our state.